Welcome back, beautiful souls. I'm Reverend Kim from St. Bridget's Spiritualist Church. Today, we're going to be stepping back to the 1800s to a quiet farmhouse in Hydesville, New York, where two young sisters begin hearing knocks that would forever change how we understand life, death, and spirit.
Welcome, everybody, to the Spirit Cafe sessions. We are on episode 13, and I am so excited to do this one. We did touch upon it a little bit on last week's episode. I think that a lot of people are going to love it. If you don't know the story of these amazing women, then prepare to have your mind blown. But we are on episode 13, the women who started the movement. And before we get into it, I do just have to say, Kim, I am drinking the other tea that you brought me from Ireland, Bewley's. Look at this. It's amazing. It's chamomile tea. And it's 100% chamomile tea, so there's nothing else in it. I took it out of the little baggie thingy, and I put it in the little ball that you gave me, the little tea ball with the little
People.
light moon at the end of it. But I don't have that to show people, so all I have is this. But anyway, this tea, you guys, is amazing. It's so sweet and it's so soft tasting. I don't know how to describe it any other than that. And it is called Bewley's. It's Bewley's 1840 tea, pure chamomile, and I freaking love it. And I'm kind of annoyed that Kim only got me one, but that's okay. She didn't
Well,
know.
that's the good thing about when you are in Europe or overseas there, they don't have all of the stuff they're just putting in as fillers. So
Right.
everything tastes so much better. At least I find.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I did pull the card for this reading, which is actually I find very interesting considering that we're talking about the lovely Fox sisters here. Um, I pulled the Magician.
Oh,
Isn't that interesting? I mean, it would
very.
have been creepier if I pulled the High Priestess, but that's okay. I'm taking the Magician. This, my lovely people, is my absolute favorite card in the deck. Kim knows this. I'm getting the tattoo on my wrist of this week. I'm really excited about it. But the Magician is the card of the alchemist, of turning pain into power, of creating your own reality, of harnessing your thoughts and knowing that, yes, there is a higher power out there, but this higher power gave you the ability to create the life that you want. You can absolutely have it all. And I feel like this is the perfect card for this episode. And it collectively, maybe what you're all thinking right now and feeling is that you need to make some changes in your life. Maybe you don't like the way things are going. Maybe you're feeling more determined than ever to change something. So this card, the Magician, popping up is your reminder. Your thoughts create your reality, not your emotions, your thoughts. So always think in your favor and try really to control that ego, because that is the doubts that come through when you're really trying to harness something. Okay. So I think this is a perfect card for this episode, and with the deck that Kim bought me. Sorry.
Hey,
Okay.
no, it's pretty.
All right. So Kim is going to take the lead on this episode. I hope you guys love it because Kim and I both love this story and everything it stands for. It's a very powerful story with a very amazing legacy, I believe, my opinion anyway. So Kim, take it away.
All right. Well, as you all know, I am a reverend and, in spiritualism. And the Fox sisters are what started the birth of modern spiritualism. And this was in 1848. All right. The world was ripe for something extraordinary. America was in the midst of the Second Great Awakening, a time deep of spiritual hunger and social change. In this climate of searching and belief lived the Fox family, a simple household in upstate New York. On one cold March night, Margaret, age 14, and Kate, just 11, began to hear rapping sounds that seemed to follow them from room to room. Curious and brave, as little kids usually are a lot more braver than adults.
True, true.
The girls, and I don't know what in their infinite wisdom made them do this, but the girls started to speak to the sounds. And when the knocks answered back, a conversation began, not just between the two girls and an unseen presence, but between the physical and the spiritual worlds. So, Nikki, what do you think that they would have been going through when they first had this contact with spirit? What do you think?
You know, I actually, that's a good question. And I feel like there's only two ways that they would have went about it. They either would have totally been, like, completely
Yeah.
surprised and excited and like, "Oh my god, what," like, "It's talking back to us, whatever, it's talking back to us, like, what is this? What is this?" That's what I feel they really were like. And the other direction, I feel like they would have been a little bit like, "What's going on here? We gotta tell mom and dad something's off, something like, this is not normal." But I actually feel, and it might be biased because I do know the story through and through, that they were a little bit more excited and found it like it kind of spurred the whole adventure in them, like to try
Oh,
to figure out what this was and to try to again keep communicating with it. I think that when they started, I think it just totally lit a fire within them that made them want to know more instead of drive them the other way.
well, and the thing is, back then, of course, there was no internet. There was, to get messages to different places was not like it is now. And, so they also weren't inundated with like these spooky, sci-fi or, horror
Yeah,
movies or things like that are put into their heads. So, that could be maybe add to an excitement opposed to a fear.
yeah, that's a good point. That
um,
is a good point, though.
like I don't think that they would have necessarily the same thoughts that we would have in this
Yeah,
day and age.
no, I agree.
But soon the neighbors came to witness this phenomenon. The sisters developed a code with the spirit, one rap for yes, two for no. And before long, they were communicating messages that no one could explain. Now, word spread quickly, which is crazy. Again, the Hydesville rappings became a sensation, and within months, the sisters were demonstrating their abilities publicly. So that's got to be like also something pretty scary, exciting,
Uh-huh.
just to have to start doing that. Their older sister, Leah, helped guide their work, and together the Fox sisters became the first well known mediums of what would grow into the spiritualist movement.
Yay.
And March 31st, 1848 is the considered the birthday of modern spiritualism. So on March 31st every year, we celebrate um, Spiritualism Day or the birth of modern spiritualism.
Oh, I love that. I didn't know that. I love that.
That's the birthday.
Oh, I love it.
So from their courage came something extraordinary. The Again, like I said, the birth of modern spiritualism, and they opened the door to a movement that emphasized personal experience with spirit rather than relying on religious hierarchy. And you maybe want to kind of take note of that because this was back in the day where religion was really really strong.
Yeah,
From my understanding, most people kind of, if you were going to fit in, you had to fit in with some kind of a church
yeah,
or some
yeah.
religious organization. And this would have been scary to those organizations because they would be, you know, doing things that would be, not follow the path that religious people wanted to go because you were
Mhm.
actually finding things out and you
Yeah.
were being suppressed or muted.
Mhm.
And perhaps just as importantly, they helped create a space where women's voices were heard, respected, and seen as vessels for divine communication.
Oh,
So what do you think? Like this must have been, this is back like we couldn't vote.
yeah.
You know, I think it was it 1972 or 1973 is when women were first able to get a mortgage on their own,
Yep.
you know? So this is 1848.
Yeah.
Mm. Like, I can't even imagine how this was empowering.
I think that it did though, because I mean, not to jump ahead, but it started to inspire quite a lot of people, and especially a lot of women, like a lot of women. And I think what this did was it pushed forward a lot of free thinking. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm,
Okay, we
mhm.
believe there's God, there's angels, but hold on a second. What if there's not just heaven and hell? What if there's something else? What if there is no heaven and hell? I think that this started that free thinking kind of movement, and they attributed to it a lot.
Well, so the spirit that they were communicating with was, I believe they call him Mr. Splitfoot, and he was actually a robber
Yeah.
who that was buried in that house. So
Yeah.
he was the one who was communicating with them, and they found that out eventually with their wrappings. Um, but with this fame that they got, it invoked like intense scrutiny and hardship. Right.
Yeah.
The Fox sisters were thrust into a public eye at a very young age, 11 and 14.
Mhm. Mhm.
Back then, maybe wasn't so young, but I still think it's fairly young. And people demanded proof, performance, and
Oh.
perfection. And I can tell you, nobody can give you any of that. I do believe proof because uh, the wrappings, the communication, you know, when I'm doing mediumship, you know, I'm I'm giving proof that they, saying things or saying things how other people maybe said it or saying things
Mhm.
to prove to you
Yeah.
that there is life on the other side. But with these girls under that kind of pressure and with society constantly questioning their integrity, we know how much that is so fantastic.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
sisters' lives took a very difficult turn. They faced harsh criticism, religious condemnation, and even exploitation. So, people were trying to get them to, you know, do their little circus
Yep.
monkey dances or whatever.
Mhm.
And a lot of these people weren't supporters. So they were trying to get them to fail
Yes.
and to prove that they were frauds.
Yeah.
But in the later years, both Margaret and Kate struggled with addiction, particularly it was alcohol. And they were women who had carried the weight of the world's skepticism and expectation. Mediums who had opened a spiritual movement yet found little peace themselves. And I
Uh-huh.
really think, when you saying that, it really makes me feel like right now, um, everything that's going right now, anybody says anything, there's always like everybody's skeptic, or they're
Yep.
they have big expectations about everything that anybody's going to do. There's no more just being your authentic self without a, a naysayer or harsh criticism to try to force you to, just be like everybody else. But that their pain was real, and so was their humanity. They were sensitive souls who suffered from being ahead of their time. And I don't know, you got to have compassion for that. Have this gift, um,
You know what's
endeared and judgment for your gifts. Like we know what that's like.
it's very interesting because um when you said that they were, people were expecting them to fail or stuff, they were put through three massive public trials in a sense for people to try to prove that they're frauds, and they passed every one, by the way. But like to go through something like that in such a public forum at young ages, what I can't remember what age they were at, but I know that they were not like adults.
Mm.
That's going to mess up your psyche. That's going to over and over and over again, proving that you're not good enough, that you're lying, that you're whatever. That takes a toll on people. And it's interesting, Kim, that you said that thing about they started this movement and they didn't get any peace from it. It is very rare, and I read this somewhere. Any creator of a movement, any creator of anything, any inventor, Oppenheimer himself, look at that, what he created. Anyone who created something so life changing for a collective group of people rarely find peace from it. Rarely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that is so true. You look back on history, you can look back on anything that you want, but rarely have those people who've created something so magnificent, whether it's something positively magnificent or negatively magnificent, there's rarely any peace with what they've created after. Rarely. So it
Yeah.
completely to me makes sense that these women became, went down a kind of a darker path later in their lives because in a sense, what did people expect? Right?
Yeah. Well, and, when you're constantly being told you're not good enough or you're
Yeah.
this or you're that,
Yeah.
that does lead to, because you have your ego, and that's that would lead to, trying. My understand, like their dad was a severe alcoholic,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he was very abusive, and so that's what they knew. That's what they knew to turn to in those times. So, you're living in that. That's only, it's not a big jump to say this is
No.
what they're going to turn to, because they don't know how else to, like, they don't have managers. They don't, not that any of us do, but like, they don't have somebody they can just talk to about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, did you go through this? Like we could talk to each other, or, people that do the same stuff, and we can, vent, or we can throw ideas off each other, but they didn't
Mhm.
have that, and when enough people tell you that you are a bad person, or that you are, you're crazy, or you're a fraud, I
Yeah.
think that gets into your head and you start believing it, because you don't know how to express yourself, or to stand in your truth,
Mhm.
because I can't even imagine how scary that is without any support whatsoever.
No,
You
it
know?
is scary. It's absolutely scary because it's like, um, you're just trying to bring something forth to the world. You're trying to show people this gift. You're trying to help people, because they did this to help people. Yes, there was money involved. Fine, of course there was, but they also did it because they knew they had a gift that they could share with the world. So, in their retrospect, they're trying to help people, and they're being met continuously throughout their entire lives, with a wall, you know, constantly. And that pressure, your entire life, that pressure for decades and decades, that will break you. I don't care. That will break your psyche. That
Yeah.
will make you say and do things that you know are not true.
Yeah.
That whether you recant the story like the one sister did and then all of a sudden recant it again. I mean, what did you expect from her after what she went through? After people telling her and trying to convince her that you're a fake, you're a fake, you're a fake. I mean, she can't take that pressure. She says that she is, and then she recants it again later. Like,
Yeah, well, if everybody's gonna tell you you're a failure, and that's all you're gonna ever do is have that pressure, uh, to try to defend yourself, yeah, I could see that I would be doing the same thing. Yeah, okay, you know what? I was wrong,
just for peace.
I was lying. Just
Yeah.
because you just want to, yeah, be you just want to go back and
Yeah.
be quiet and not have people nattering at you
Yeah.
and throwing their opinions at you, and, it's not fun, because even us, to this day and age, we still have people who, think we're heathens, or won't
Yeah.
let us come to certain markets or whatever, because we don't fit in their mold, right? Like, for our spiritualist church, we asked this one community league if we could just go for, it was like a summer market or a Christmas market. It was a
Oh,
market anyhow, but it had crafts and everything. And they said
cute.
no. Yeah, they did not they said no. They said,
But
"You do not fit into what we have."
are did they have tarot readers and people who
No.
sell crystals and stuff there?
Maybe crystals and things like that, but no, they didn't want anybody who talked to,
Okay.
dead people,
Well,
because it
I'm
just
sorry,
didn't
but
fit.
if you have people selling crystals, that's not
Well,
from
there's a lot
religion.
of hypocrisy in this world. So,
I know. That's all I'm going to say about
it
that.
was quite, it was hard. It was like, "Come on, seriously, so you're telling me I'm a bad
Yeah.
person?" You know?
Yeah.
Anyhow, so, like, even with their struggles, the Fox sisters still triumphed in a deeper way. They ignited a movement that's still alive today in every
Oh,
séance. every circle, every medium who sits in faith and love to bring through messages of hope and continuity. Like, they're
Oh,
with us, like, they're still here, like, they are the reason I do what I do. If they didn't do that, who knows if we would
mhm,
be in this
mhm.
position today. Their legacy reminds us that truth is not always neat, and
No.
spiritual awakenings often come through imperfect vessels.
No, 100% do they.
Yeah.
No
Like, well, I think
spiritual
that's so
awakenings are easy.
no,
No.
no, 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 can just knock you around.
And they,
But
they made seances what they are today, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, they had the seances and, things like that. There's a lot of different stuff that you can learn about them,
Mhm.
in the Spiritualist Church of Canada, which is the governing body for the spiritualist churches that I guess choose to be part of it. That's where
Mhm.
who I'm ordained through as a minister. They have courses about it, and they go into very deep detail. And I personally would love to go there one day
Yeah.
where they have the Lily Dale and check out all their stuff there. And I don't know how many people know this, but the Fox family originally came from Canada.
Mhm. Yes,
So,
they did.
really, modern spiritualism was really birthed out of Canada.
Yep.
But whether the Raps in Hydesville were born of mystery or manifestation, what matters most is what followed: a movement in love, healing, and proof that spirit endures.
Yeah. I love that.
And, they might have been misunderstood at their time. But through them, millions have found comfort in knowing that death is not the end.
Yeah. It's true though.
You know,
Mm.
unfortunately, they had to go through some very, very tough, times. And I can tell you that most people that I do readings for, they are just at peace once they realize, or it settles something in them when they realize that they're not alone.
Yeah.
That their loved
Mhm.
ones haven't left them, that there's, that they're still here, they're still helping them. So many
Mhm.
say, like, "I'm helping you, you just need to ask," right?
Yeah.
So, that is thanks to them. So, when you're sitting quiet and feel that gentle shift in energy, that present that says, "I'm still here." Remember, it began with the 2 young girls who dared to listen.
I love that.
So they were, you know, they like, I can't even imagine
Mm.
if I heard
At
something
those
knocking
ages.
at me and I didn't know what it was, I'd be like, "What is that?
Mhm.
Who's here?"
Yeah.
You know? Um, it's a very sad story. Like, their
It is.
sister, they had gone to live with them, their dad being an alcoholic, that just made a very unstable family, and that would also give people reasons to try to debunk them or to be naysayers because 'cause they'd be like, "Oh, wow, their dad's an
Yeah.
alcoholic," or,
Yeah.
like, "They can't be trusted," or, whatever people wanna say to push their own agenda. And I think in this world, if you are going to be your true authentic self, you got to kind of channel your inner,
Mhm.
Margaret, Maggie, and Kate, and, power through no matter what anybody says to you, if someone's telling you you're wrong, let them say that. Just do what feels right for you,
Mhm.
and you don't know what you can start.
Oh, I like that. It's true though. Their story is quite fascinating, and a lot of people, I find that you either know a little bit about them or you know nothing about them. Unless you're someone like me or Kim who just, we just know because, we're involved in it, and I just find their story fascinating. I find any of those types of stories fascinating. So I definitely recommend that people read up on about it. There are great documentaries on YouTube. Kim was just talking about that the other day. There's podcasts I've listened to about them. You will get opinions within these podcasts and these documentaries, of course, of their story. And some are very maddening because I do notice that I'm not calling any podcast out. I'm not calling any documentary out at all. But I am saying that a lot of them do only show majority one side of the story and not the other side. So, when it comes to this history lesson, I guess that we're giving you, definitely look at both sides because it is fascinating. It's fascinating from the standpoint of a skeptic, and it's fascinating from the standpoint of a believer. And you will find stories actually, because I did. I remember this. I remember reading stories written back in 1900 whatever of skeptics becoming believers after seeing them either on the stage, after seeing them go through one of those trials, in a sense, in quotations, of course, that they were meant to do, as they said. And it's very interesting. It's very fascinating because there was like a lot of their stuff. It did have to do with sound, like Kim said, like tapping and stuff. But there was also things that came out that there's no way these sisters could have known about somebody. There's no way.
No,
There's no Google back then. How did you like
no.
strangers in the crowd, right? Like there's no plants or anything, just people randomly picked off the street and they knew information about these people. There's no Google
Mhm.
in 1889,
No
right?
Facebook,
Yeah, right?
no Instagram, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what they did, and there's so much to their story. It's it's very heartbreaking,
It is.
uh, to see how much they struggled, but it is also encouraging to know that even though, um, they struggled at times so harshly and, recanted and then came back, you know,
Mhm.
they still they're still the story. They're still the beginning of modern spiritualism. They've sparked it. No matter what it
Yeah.
was, they
Yeah,
sparked it.
exactly.
And, 1848 is when it all started, thanks to them.
Yeah.
And you gotta know there were people before this that probably heard noises, but never or
Yeah.
whatever, but never paid attention. And, there's just something we're all put here for um a purpose, a job. We all have, our purpose in life. And,
Mhm.
obviously at some level they knew that that was their purpose.
Yeah. I think so. I 100% believe that. I definitely do believe that. And I also believe, and I know that before the Fox sisters, there was documented cases in Italy, in Mexico. There was, certain famous people in America that, including a president who had, and his wife who had these kind of things happening to them, who swear by them. And they were not spiritualists in the slightest, by the way. They were part of a religion. And they even swore that there was tapping, that they've heard whatever they heard, that, um, in the White House. So, I really do believe that their case is, of course, is the biggest documented one because it spanned over decades and decades and decades, right? But this has definitely been happening for a long, 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 long time. Okay, this is not a new thing in 2025, I should say in the millennial, because that's when all these movies came to bat. But people have been going through this for so long, and majority around the time when the Fox sisters came to, um, people didn't talk about it because
No,
why? So they would be deemed as crazy and been thrown into an asylum, right?
ridiculed. Yeah,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
they're going to keep their mouth
Or
shut, especially if they were women.
sympathizers of the heathens.
Yeah. No, but
I
seriously,
just love it.
seriously,
No, I think heathens is funny because I've actually been called a heathen before, so that's why I use that word.
that's a compliment.
Um,
But
well,
anyway,
you know what? I don't take much from it because it's usually somebody who
yeah, I know.
is ignorant anyhow to
Yeah.
any of it and just see it as evil. So if that's what they want to believe, then that's fine. I
Yeah.
personally am very sad for people who don't find this freedom.
It's true. I don't understand, I'll never understand narrow-mindedness. I won't. Maybe because I do have such a big open mind and I have to know everything about everything all the time. But I just don't understand people who see black and white, you know, because life is not black and white. It would be easier, guys, if it was. Oh my God, would our lives be easier if it was left or right or black and white? But it's not. Everything is gray and
Mhm.
multicolored all the time, right? Which I think a lot of people found with the Fox sisters story. It was not black and white. They tried to make it black and white over and over and over again, and it doesn't work that way.
No.
There's an in between. There's
And
always an in
again,
between.
it's exactly, like what everybody's going through right now. Like I said, it
Mhm.
doesn't matter what
Yeah,
you believe or what you say, somebody's upset, you're wrong to somebody, and it's not nice. We're really losing the art of listening, understanding, having, compassion
yeah,
for each other, um, and just giving each other the autonomy that we should have.
hmm,
They want, the people who are the happiest are, well, I guess happiest as, kind of a thing, but if we're all like lined up, all doing the same thing, kind of like that, the Pink Floyd video, The Wall, and they're
oh
all
yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like I think
yeah,
that's what they'd be happy with. You're just gonna follow along, you do what you got to
yeah,
do,
yeah,
you know. Um, that's that's I don't know. I'm so glad that I was born with the ability to see all sides and
yeah,
have that um understanding, and
hmm,
not being, thinking everybody was just horrible because of whatever they think, right?
yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I think I like that you said you were born with that gift because I definitely do think it's a gift, for many people, to be so open-minded, and realize
Mhm.
that half the time your way is not the only way. Um, and I think that's very, very important, and I feel like with the Fox sisters, things would have ended up quite differently for them if they had a little bit more support than they did, and I'm not saying they didn't because they actually did. If you watch the documentaries, you read the stories, you listen to the podcast, you will find out that they did have a good chunk of supporters, but they also had a lot of people really trying to push them down and push them to go away, and unfortunately, those people were the people with the power and with the money, with the big names, Houdini being one of them. And I mean, what do you expect for two women at a time where, you know, they don't have any rights, right? Where
And they
they're like,
also weren't really supported by their family.
yes,
Like, we're just little girls off on our own. And like with their humble beginnings became the birth of modern spiritualism, which we talked about. And that movement has taught that the soul never dies, and that through love and sensitivity, communication with spirit is not only possible, but healing. And a lot of people tell us that. And in an era where women's voices were so silenced, the Fox sisters became symbols of spiritual empowerment.
oh,
Their work gave women a new place in religious life, not as followers, but as leaders, teachers, and mediums of divine truth. Because, you look back there weren't women who
yep,
were heads of churches, right?
nope,
But with their fame and the heavy cost, they were young, sensitive, and deeply spiritual, and that they were thrust into the spotlight and expected to prove the unprovable, right?
yep,
And this gave them the public scrutiny, ridicule, and relentless pressure from even believers.
yep,
Was believers, skeptics, and you know this is what became unbearable. So we all have that, and you know their story reminds us that truth doesn't always come wrapped in perfection,
no,
right? Sometimes it comes through those willing to listen, and even if nobody else is willing to believe,
yeah,
right? So As I mentioned, like these were Canadians. So from these Canadian beginnings to their Hydesville home, the Fox sisters carried a message that transcended nations and generations.
Yeah.
Like how many generations later, right? So, again, like we had said, the next time you sit in circle or whatever, just I would say a little thanks to the sisters for allowing or following their, I don't know, just following
They're
what
calling.
was given to them to make it work and to make such a beautiful world,
Yeah.
because it's so beautiful when you really get into it.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't think about that. You're right though. They absolutely 100%. They did make it, I shouldn't say easier for women, because it didn't get easier for women for quite a time after that, but
no.
they did give a lot of women the courage, or at least the dream, to step out and kind of be who they wanted to be, because a lot of women, we all know that. We all know that, as time went on in, 1910s and plus, women started to have their little tea parlors, and started to really look into spiritualism and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of women were started to get not so very shy with it. So it's very interesting, because I didn't think about that until you just said it, but because they brought it front row and center, because they didn't have a choice, really, I should say. It was, they were thrusted front row and center for decades.
I'm like,
It definitely made a lot of women there braver, and to stand to what they believed, which was that there was an afterlife, that they can communicate with the spirits of their loved ones. They are never fully 100% gone. They never. So I that's very interesting, and I think that that was very empowering. And there is theories that the fact that this movement was very empowering to women and to men, that might be one of the reasons why they were so convinced, and why they tried for decades and on more than one occasion to consistently show the world that these wonderful sisters were frauds,
yeah.
because their movement was empowering. The amount of people that then started to move into spiritualism, that started to, grab their own tarot decks, that started to do their own seances, that started to, maybe not go to churches because all of a sudden certain things didn't make sense, really did anger quite a few people.
Well,
So
a lot of them were coming from the Quaker religion,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So that was combining, and it, you know, they weren't things that, the Catholics or the Protestants or, whatever religion, that they weren't willing to allow this at that time. I
hmm
think they found it to be too scary, which I do find a little bit funny. Um, again, I'm not trying to throw shade, but
throw
we
shade.
can do this, but they have no problem. Some of those religions don't have problems speaking in tongues,
hmm That's fair.
you know,
Yeah.
and I don't know. It just those are the things that I've always had a problem with in my life, and that's so my brain, like, these things don't make sense to me, and
hmm
so I think that's why I've always kind of got myself in a little trouble, because it's like, well, what is this?
Yeah. No, I do that all the time still.
What do you mean by this?
Yeah.
And it doesn't always make us very popular.
Yeah. No, no, but I mean, that should be encouraged, free thinking. The desire to learn, the desire to, play devil's advocate at times. It doesn't make you a bad person. It actually shows that there's something up here in your mind that really is wanting to, your gears are kicking in, basically. So I don't, but too many questions can definitely bother some people, especially in certain religions and stuff. So I definitely can understand that, and I think that's what a lot of the problems came from for the Fox sisters. They disproved quite a bit, as you said earlier, when it came to certain theories, or certain ideas, and even certain stories that were written in certain books, religious books, and that definitely posed a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
there's
love their
always that
story.
interpretation, right? So
Yeah,
people
exactly.
have their own interpretation of, like, how many versions of the Bible are there?
Yeah, exactly.
And how many languages? Like, you just
Mhm.
got to understand. like, try to figure out, like, when do you really think that it was still, you know, still something that you could rely on
Mhm.
when gone through so many different,
Yeah.
um, transformations.
Yeah.
Like, oh, too many, it's like the
That's true.
telephone game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but with like with the spiritualism and, with the evidence, that doesn't get lost anywhere.
No, no, it doesn't. And I'm not speaking against any of that stuff. Like I've said, and like people know who listen to this podcast or just know me, I was raised Catholic, Roman Catholic. I do know the Bible. I do know the prayers. They're etched in here forever. They ain't going anywhere. Um, I do I do question quite a bit when it comes to that religion. I'm not gonna lie. I always have from the age of 8 to the age of 38. But there are stories in that Bible that I do like. There are stories I don't agree with, and there are stories I do like because I find in those books there are always lessons to be learned with what is written, right? So I think that is important before people, jump down our throats here and be like, "What you guys are, throwing shade on the Bible and stuff." We are not throwing shade on the
No,
Bible. Um,
no.
it is a text that we need out there. I'm glad that it's out there. Kim is right though; it has been transformed many times, whether people want to believe it or not. I don't care. It's true. But the stories, certain stories in the Bible, they hold meaning still this day and age in 2025, right? And the same thing with the Torah and the same thing with everything else out there, right? Um, Very important for people to understand that we are not poo-pooing any of that stuff. Just as important as any of the spiritualism work or teachings that we talk about or that we read, um, all that kind of stuff.
Well, and when we talk about this, we're not throwing shade to the religion, to the texts, what they have. It's the people who use it to get what they want, or to, um,
Scare people.
yeah, to
Don't
make
do
them
that.
get to do what they want, to be able to control you. That is the thing that is not good. When someone uses a religion to make you fear, make you do stuff, make you, do everything that they want, and not something that's really what it is. Every religion, I don't care which one you have or pick, every single religion is rooted in love.
Yes. Yeah.
But as soon as you start getting people in there who are like, okay, how are we going to control things? How are we going to do this? That's when you get these people, oh yeah, I can be mean, these days because I go to church. Like those are the people. That's not everybody,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But that's my issue when people use something in a way, and I feel like almost to harm people. But it's love. This is love. It's all love.
No, absolutely. No, I agree with you. And I think actually many people now realize what we're saying, and I think a lot of people out there do agree with what you and I say about this kind of stuff. Um, Religion, spiritualism, whether you follow the spiritualist movement to a T, whether you do your own thing, whatever it is, Kim's absolutely right. If you're doing it in love and you're doing it in respect and you're doing it out of kindness and patience for everyone around you, including yourself, that's a big one. You can't go wrong.
Hmm.
You can't go wrong because God doesn't work that way. God
No,
doesn't work that way. There's no rules like that. There's not. I don't know where that came from. Well, I know where it came from, but like, God doesn't have those weird rules, where
no,
I can only hear you and grant your prayers when you're in a church or in a temple. What? Don't be silly.
or
Eh?
unless you do X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
you're
No.
never going to go to heaven.
No, that
So,
doesn't that it doesn't happen that way.
no.
I No, there's no way. God is not like that. But yeah, so it's very important for people to know that because while there are a lot of people I think that understand what we're saying, there are also a lot of people that personally that I know that struggle with it still.
Hmm.
Whether they're a little bit older than me or whether they're actually my age, they struggle with the concept of, of certain things. and it weighs heavy on them. And you wouldn't think it would, because people, it's religion, it's spiritualism, it's whatever you believe, fine. But that does hold a lot of pressure on you as an individual, whether people believe it or not. And maybe in people who are atheists or agnostic, they don't really maybe fully understand. But that like that weighs on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you know what's funny when you say like atheists,
Hmm.
s- so many spiritualists started as atheists.
I'm agnostic.
So
I
many.
was.
They didn't believe it. Yeah, like they didn't believe it. They didn't have proof. And with spiritualism and, the ability to prove the existence of
Yep.
the continuity of life, uh, that's what made them no longer
Hmm.
atheists. And some of the
I believe
most
it.
famous spiritualists were atheists.
Yep.
So it's very cool,
No, I
you
definitely
know.
believe it. As somebody who was more agnostic their whole lives, yeah, no, I definitely believe it. It's hard to ignore sometimes. The signs, in a sense, slash the evidence is there. If you really pay attention to it and you open your mind and you see that there's some stuff that are unexplainable to the 3D, in a sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just a beautiful thing that we were given.
Yeah.
And, history and just finding out the roots, I think is just an amazing way for you to find where you belong.
Yeah.
Because without looking into these things, you're not necessarily going to find where you belong.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, like I've repeatedly said, this is the first time in my life that I could have something that I don't care what people say to me.
Hmm.
Like, oh, I don't care if they want to say whatever they want. I know that I personally have helped people, or I've changed people's lives by giving them some message that, moved them so much that they cried and had their seeds of healing, their
Yeah.
little tears, their seeds of healing, to be able to do that. And you can't take that away from me.
Mm-mm.
And I know that that was authentic. I know that it was powerful for both me and the person that I gave the message to. And it's something that will stay with them forever,
Yes. Yeah.
you know?
Most important.
And I don't know that somebody reading a Bible verse to you at church is going to give you that same
Hmm.
effect
Hmm.
or that same impact.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And, a lot of people can't or struggle to, I guess, defend their religious beliefs, whatever it is. And that's what I love about spiritualism for me,
Hmm.
because I don't.
Hmm.
And if people say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, like, okay, well, that's your opinion.
Hmm.
I got mine. And I got all these beautiful people that gave me the honor to give them a reading and to share their loved ones with them and to feel that love
Yeah.
and that connection, like it's an incredible honor to be able to have that, so I never ever will I struggle or recant or anything because I'm I'm too lazy. I can't make stuff up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go research you. Um,
Yeah.
what's the purpose, right? So, and it's all in love.
No, exactly. Which is the most important thing. And the more people learn about it, or the more that they let themselves experience it, the more that they understand. That's what I find. Um,
Right.
Especially if they come in with an open mind, which we did talk about earlier in the episode. But even if you don't 100% believe in it, but it's something that you just want to look into, that you just, you want to dabble in, you're not going to get any trouble for dabbling into it. If looking into it, seeing what else is out there, it doesn't work like that. You're not going to get in trouble. But I do encourage people to look, because I'm a big believer of trying new things, learning new things. It helps keep your mind active. It keeps you healthy, keeps you alive longer. So I do hope that people who didn't know anything about the Fox sisters, they do look it up today. They do read a little bit more about spiritualism, everything else that the movement created. I think that a lot of people are going to be absolutely fascinated with it, because when I found out who the Fox sister was, and this was when I was like 18, 19, I went down the freaking rabbit hole, because I thought it was like sensational, and I was just like, and then I found out, and then I went down the rabbit hole with Houdini and with everybody else and Andrew Jackson. And like, so I know all about that stuff, but it will lead some people into the rabbit hole, and it's going to
Mhm.
be very interesting to a lot of our listeners, I think.
Well, yeah, and honestly, I took the course for ministers, we had to take several different courses with it. Probably the best one that I took was, it was a bit of, every religion around the world. It
Mhm.
was like the examination. So you can see these different things. And I really encourage people to look at different religions,
Yeah.
instead of just having oh, I don't like them because of whatever. No, you just read it. Read, find out about it, study each religion
Mhm.
and find out, is it really something? Was it this scary? Or is this just something that somebody's telling you?
Yeah.
You know, is it just somebody that on media who wants to tell you, or some influencer who wants to tell you these things, you know,
Mhm. Yeah.
for a good story?
No, exactly. And by the way, no religion is perfect. Just so people are aware, you're not going to find the perfect religion out there. You're going to find the perfect one for you, for you. And
Yes.
it will not be
Yeah.
perfect. There will be flaws in it. That's just the way that it is. Because well, I mean, they were created by human beings, and human beings are flawed, right? Right?
Yep. And, we can't be perfect.
No.
So, but
You
it
don't want to
is
be
perfect
perfect.
on the other side,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Spirit is perfect. We're not perfect. And that I'll
Exactly.
say that in a reading, right? Like spirit's perfect, but I might misunderstand stuff because I'm not.
Exactly.
So yeah, just give yourself the opportunity to investigate these
Mhm.
different things and see what sits with you, because there's nothing better than to have a place that you feel like you belong.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Okay, Kim, are you ready for a question?
Sure. What's your question?
Okay. So, this is for somebody that actually sent me this after our live, was a client, and she wanted to know, what would you recommend for someone who believes heavy negative energy has been attached to them?
Yeah. Um, I've had that before.
Yeah.
Actually, I've had it before where a woman was seeking um advice, help, or whatever from these different I don't even know what they are, but they're like, give me $5,000
Oh
and I
yeah.
will take away all your curses,
Yeah.
and making her believe that she
Scammers.
was being touched, like, intimately, by these evil entities
Oh.
and things like that. So, and it was really hard. It was very, very hard because she was of an ethnicity that those kind of things, those beliefs are very
Yeah, real.
deep,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And um, I really just believe that if you really feel that you need to find out why. First of all, why you think you are,
Mhm.
and you need
Yeah.
to break down. Do I believe it because someone's told me? Do I believe it because of an experience I had? And that experience that I understood it, was it really evil or was it really a bad experience, right? Like you got to kind of look at
Investigate.
it from what angle you're looking at it, right? Because I personally don't let myself, my vibrations go down. And that's not like anything to anybody else. It's just a choice that I have made.
Mhm.
So I think if you've listened to other podcasts, when I went to the Whaley House, which is supposed to be the most haunted house in America,
Mhm.
I didn't have these experiences that people have. So that could be what I do. So you can just make the choice and say, you know what, you need to leave. Um, or depending on what your beliefs are, if you are Catholic or whatever, maybe have someone from that faith come and do whatever they need to do.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I would personally just find out the reasons why I felt that this was something negative and really look at it, really
Yeah.
look at the situation, really look at what kind of conversations were around. Was it someone who told you this? Did it come up in your own head? Does it correlate with a fear you have?
It's a good point.
Um, you know, kind of see why, because our brains, they work overtime, and you can make yourself believe
Yeah.
anything, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a bad manifestation, right? If
Yeah.
just like on Facebook, there is this amazing artist that I know, and he's been struggling to try to make ends meet and to sell his stuff. And he said, "Oh, I posted it for $200 on Marketplace, but I'll probably end up like going to like 60 or 50 for a clear out." And I said, "Why would you
Why
do
would you
that?
say that?
Putting that out there, man.
Yeah.
Like, what? Why would you put out? You know what?
Yeah.
So many people are going to want this. I am going to like have people bidding, and I'm going to get more than what I'm asking for because everybody's going to really want it."
Exactly.
Those are the things you want to put it. So if you think that a negative entity has attached to you, again, be like, no, nothing can touch me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm safe. I am secure. I am my own power. I am my own person, and nothing will affect me.
Yep.
And you can put yourself in a bubble. Imagine putting yourself in a bubble for protection. You can use salt at your doors.
Mhm.
Selenium, or is it what is it called? Is it selenium? The white crystal? Is it? What's it called? I can't remember the name of it.
Here
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. What do they call selenite?
Yeah.
Selenite. So selenite, kyanite, transmutes bad energy as well. I gave Nikki some. I have a very beautiful one that I love, and I don't know if you could see
Oh,
him,
it's pretty.
but it's a kyanite dragonfly.
Dragonfly. Yeah, it's cute. I
Mhm.
like it.
So, you can do kind of those things to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm really sorry if you've had that experience, because I can only imagine how scary it is,
Yeah.
and how I don't think you're just walking around having a great life and then that happens, right? Like, I think obviously things happen for you to get to that point where you will believe those things, or that you'll let those things crop into you. To, a lot of times it's because we don't think we're good enough, or,
Yeah.
like we just have too many negative things in our heads,
Yeah.
and that just spiral these things crazy. So I really hope that, you know, you can find some way to, uh, I guess, rationalize it for yourself,
Mhm.
and to find out the real root of what it is that has what you believe has attached
Mhm.
itself.
Also, watch who your energy is around. Watch who's in your bubble, because oftentimes the not what's actually attached to you is not like a scary ghost or poltergeist or whatever. It is residual negative energy from somebody that is in your life that doesn't really want to see you do better than them. And I know that's the hard thing to realize, but if I've learned anything, and most recently, is that the people like in your life, that are your cheerleaders or supporters, I'm not saying all of them, but they can also be the ones that are, cheerleading you to your face, but behind your back are really hoping you don't succeed beyond their measure. And it's not their fault. It's human nature. It's the way that we've been programmed, in a sense, to think. It's terrible, but it does happen. So watch who your energy's around, because I'm sorry, but you
Absolutely.
are the energy you keep. So if you have a
Hmm.
lot of people around you that are just naysayers and just constantly complaining, you are going to feel that. That's going to encompass you, and you're going to feel low vibrational, right? So really, if you have those people in your life, try to put in a little bit of distance. I guarantee you, if you do put in that distance, you are going to slowly start feeling better, and you will know that that's also possibly a factor in feeling really heavy and as if something negative's attached to you. Because energy is a
Hmm.
really big thing, and people underestimate it every single day, but it does have a factor in the way that our day to day is. It does.
Well, and even if it's something like you don't know, go to the doctor. Talk to the doctor. Maybe there's some a chemical imbalance, or there's some other mental uh, disorder
Mhm.
that you may have, and counseling or other kind of therapies may be helpful for you to break away from that.
Yeah.
So
Investigate it
always
all.
think of your health.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Always investigate
like
it.
don't you know like we are so complex.
Oh, yeah.
you know and like I said, we can throw anything in. I have a child who nobody hates them,
Mhm.
um but they completely believe that anything they do, everybody hates them. And it's like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. I don't understand. So you got to know that there's something can be in you that is just going to have those
Yeah.
beliefs. And so if you can find counseling, go to a doctor. Maybe you need some kind of like a little bit of like medication to help. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that's always going to help, but maybe look at changing your diet,
Course.
pulling
Of
things out of your
course.
diet,
Yeah.
kind of look at those things and see what really is
Mhm.
that makes you feel better.
Yeah. Everything is worth investigating because Kim's right. We are very complex, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. For a lot of people, you might be feeling really negative and lacking energy, and you might have a vitamin deficiency. I'm telling you, it could be something as easy as that, or it could be something as easy as removing, one of your friends that you've known for a long time, but is constantly complaining about their life, right? So, um, you've got to investigate these things. Don't automatically assume that it's something super, super scary, because most of the time it's something that we do least expect, unfortunately.
And if you do come to the realization what it is, I also encourage you to thank spirit or universe or whoever for giving you that lesson, giving
Yeah.
you that opportunity to open your eyes, because that is what's going to push you to another level.
Yeah.
Because
Gratitude.
once you can get over that hurdle, you're probably going to have many other hurdles because it's life.
Yeah.
But it's going to help you move forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, this was a really great episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I was very excited for this episode. I know Kim was very excited for this episode. Please do comment, let us know what you thought, whether you email it to us, DM it on TikTok or Instagram, or whatever you want to do. It would be super helpful. Thank you for the questions that come rolling in. We will be doing more lives on TikTok. If you guys are on TikTok, jump on and see, because we are going to start doing that. Kim and I, we're going to do some tarot, but we're also going to talk about some spiritual stuff, answer your guys' questions, all that kind of
Mhm.
amazing things.
Yes. And if you like it, you like our stuff, subscribe to
Yes.
our YouTube, give us 5 stars on Spotify, get please help us get it out.
Yes.
And that's what we're going to try to do also with TikTok, because we just want to share it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a labor of love for us.
I love that. That's our new sign off. That's our new sign off. Okay, guys, I hope
Our
you
new
have a
labor of love.
fantastic week ahead of you, and we will see you next week, right, Kim?
You bet. And again, think about those Fox sisters
That's right.
and what they have allowed us to do, and be grateful
That's right. That's right.
and thankful for that.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.
Bye.